approach.
Yep.
Yeah, the reason as to why I'm invoking the aspect of non-partisanism, so that we really delve into matters that really matter,
yep.
and give a progressive approach that is going to ensure that some of these highlighted matters are settled to finality. Yes, they are not left to hang around, because we've had several reports written in this country. The Kriegler report, the that one.
TRJ, yeah.
Yes, several reports have been written, good recommendations. Actually, Kenya is a country that has got one of the best policies that have been formulated on paper. The only problem we have as a country is when it comes to implementation.
Great.
So this is gonna change the political landscape in this country. For a matter of fact, anyone playing politics today using the 2022 handbook is completely lost.
Why do you say so?
Things have changed. We are moving into an era where people are going to win elections not because somebody is hated or loved somewhere. People are going to win because they have convinced the electorate with the verifiable projects or track record of deliverability when it comes to electoral pledges, and with the clear mindset of nation building. In other words, I'm trying to say, with the Nadco report coming into place, the people, you know, for the nearly 3 decades, Kenya's politics have been driven by Raila mania, adoring love from his fans from the Lakeside region and other parts of the country, because Raila is a national figure. He enjoys support nationwide.
The following.
And also the Raila phobia, an aspect that have been sold by his critics, especially from Mount Kenya. We are saying, gone are the days when Mount Kenya voters are going to elect you because you hate Raila. Gone are the days when the voters in the Lake region are going to elect you because you are going to help Baba fight over there. We are going to elect you because Sankara is qualified. Paper-wise, he is someone who can stand by the people. He can stand with the rule of law, and he can defend what is rightfully defendable. So that's going to change the political landscape. There are political casualties. You've seen the DP has chosen his worst finally. He has decided to deal with alcohol. That is where he belongs to, not heckling Raila Odinga and Azimio Wenchos left, right and center. In the recent past, for record's sake, the Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, was so loud on having placed traps in State House to ensure that none of these people get access to State House. He was so surprised when he saw the president and his perceived political enemy leaving his traps and State House and now going to another State House elsewhere. And that is what we call politics. That is when Baba and RUTO are in Uganda. So a lot of things are going to change. And for the first time, we may have some of the bills that are, bills that have been pending, some of the constitutional provisions that have been pending over years and years being finally implemented and enacted into law. So it's a good start for the country. Because we will dwell definitely into the provision, the recommendations of the Nadco report, and I would tell you why it's actually a good strategy for the country. Though Ab initio had opposed the Nadco report on its constitution and the proposals. The Nadco report did not take into consideration the common mwananchi, the most commonly referred term when people are sitting to cut political cakes. The loudest term is always common mwananchi, but in real sense, common mwananchi ends with that term pronunciation, common mwananchi. So a lot of things that have been packed in it, I could actually say some are good for the development and political prosperity of this nation.
Great. We'll be looking at some of the objectives and what the report really entails and what it contains. I understand the Parliament will be debating this report for the next 45 days or so. But do we choose to go the Parliament way or the referendum way?
Well, those options are possible. But again, considering the state of the economy today, can we really fund a referendum? You know, if some of these things can be passed in Parliament, we don't need to subject the people through a referendum. Or rather, we can look for their opinion through public participation. Under the bill law-making process, the third reading, it provides avenue, I mean, for not the third reading, first reading and second reading, before we get to third reading. And even the third reading provides for amendment of the bill, clause by clause. It is the duty of the elected representatives to go to the people with that particular bill, read one by one, and make the people understand what it is. You know, in Kenya, we've had one of the laziest legislators. They vote yes in Parliament and shout no in villages. Look at what some of the two Mount Kenya MPs were doing when KRA were trying to educate the people on the electronic invoice. These are the same MPs who voted for the Finance Act without reading. When now that the part of the bills had been broken down into consumable segments, they realized they made a very serious and grave mistake. They now go to mobilize and with public emotions in Mount Kenya. You can protest as a legislator in Parliament. That is the best safe ground for an MP to protest. Not in the villages, not unless you want a violent political confrontation, you can come to us. But when you want a legal protest, a protest that involves brain, consultation, sobriety, and pragmatism, that is only available in Parliament.
You just mentioned something to do with the public, letting the public know about the bill.
Yes.
Do you think maybe your Parliament would just get to that?
Well, I know we have acknowledged the laziness in our MPs. And also, you know, the current political dispensation, I would say from a political point of view, that we don't have a Parliament, because a Parliament must be independent. You know, these three arms of government, they act independently so that no one encroaches upon the other. But seemingly, the executive had hijacked the independence of Parliament, which is a direct usurpation of the sovereignty of the people, because the Parliament is installed by the people. The people exercise their constitutional right by delegating power to the legislators. So the moment Parliament is captured, then it's like the people have been captured, because we are talking about representation. I may not guarantee that our Parliament, as far as its current constitution stands, that they can do that, but as per the requirement of the law, a bill must at least garner the public opinion for it to be considered progressive or retrogressive.
Great. Now, looking at both azimio and the Kenya Kwanza, they really have some interest on the report. But we've seen them not agreeing on some certain issues like the cost of living. Some claim that the report doesn't address something to do with the cost of living. But so where does that really place the Kenya Kwanza government?
The Kenya Kwanza
succeeds.
The prerogative of lowering the cost of living is a government responsibility. The opposition may only do its part as a guard of public interest. But maybe we may delve into the particular provisions or recommendations in that particular report. We may say this has not been addressed, while we are not really clear on what was proposed. For instance, let me start by the first provision, recommendation in that report, audit of the presidential 2022 presidential election. Under that, the committee was recommending and that was highly pushed by the Azimio side, that we do an audit, number one, to ensure that legal electoral reforms that are enacted 18 months before to the general elections, if the bill or the law is enacted 18 months to the general election, it takes effect in the next general elections. So like when we were approaching the 2022 elections, remember we amended the IBC electoral, political parties act to incorporate registration of coalition political parties, where Azimio was registered as the first coalition party in the Republic of Kenya. Going forward, the committee also recommended that in restructuring and composition of IBC from the current 7-member to 9-member composition. The Azimio or the report also recommended that the timelines of dealing with presidential election petitions be moved from current 14 days to 21 days. Some of our judges are also human beings. In fact, all of the judges are human beings. We have flaws and human error. The pressure of handling a presidential petition is not a cake cutting ceremony. It requires proper research, clause by clause, reference to the Constitution. Some of the judgments, and I would say from a legal concept, we may accept the court rulings generally, but we may not agree to them entirely. Why? Because there might be element of error. So when we extend the time limits from 14 to 21 days, we gotta move forward. If you go to the cost of living, which is an elephant in the house, we cannot just talk of cost of living from nowhere. Well, cost of living is a relative statement.
Do you think that maybe the report will really do something on the cost of living?
I can say confidently, without any fear of favor, that in as much as the Azimio leader Raila Odinga, the Right Honorable, is pushing for implementation of the Nadco report without alteration, even in a clause, or with a full stop. That may not see light of the day, because the problem of the cost of living is in this current administration. And that's why in the Nadco report, they pointed out at least four critical factors that led to the skyrocketing cost of living. So you look at the fuel levy, they moved it from the VAT from 8% to 16%. The moment the value of fuel goes high, the price of fuel goes high, everything follows it. It's the path. It gives the path to economic recession. Again, you look at the housing levy. The president has been very adamant, disrespectful even to court orders and court judgments that renders housing levy unconstitutional. He has gone ahead to deduct it. If you are paid a salary of 20,000 and the government already chops its fair share off illegally, you've not paid NHIF, you've not paid NSSF, you've not paid all those things. You want to pay bills. You end the cost of living already goes high, because the cost of living translates to transport, cost of medication, cost of food, cost of electricity. All this culminates into the cost of living. Also, they touched on, I've talked of the VAT, I've talked of the housing levy and the Finance Act. This Finance Act was pushed by President William RUTO through his sycophants in Parliament. Truth be told, he went out of his way and also said they bought MPs to vote for that particular bill. The bill in its entirety did not have good concept for the people's interest. As far as the interest of the people of Kenya is concerned economically, The Finance Act is equivalent to economic terrorism, in as much as it may have been enacted not on goodwill but tyranny of numbers. Because for the fact, William Ruto, the president, as for the longest time since he took over power, enjoyed parliamentary majority, but battles with popular legitimacy, where the people tend to resent against his administration because of punitive economic policies that it has put in place. And again, in that we were talking about the recommendations, and in the cost of living, the azimio, the committee recommended that the public expenses of public servants and state officials be cut off by 50%. Do you know how much these people spend on a daily basis? They use chauffeurs, they use fleets of cars, fuel guzzlers. These are SUVs. They consume like nothing else. This is not on their pocket, but on the people's pocket. If we can cut on expenses, then we can save something.
Now, from where you sit, let me just ask you, from where you sit, do you think this report will foster some positive impact on the Kenya's economy?
Well, you know, we have people who spend too much than what they can afford. That is the typical parliament we have in Kenya. I would tell you, with this opulence that has been manifested by the members of parliament, I don't think they will agree to something that is going to cut off their remuneration. Remember, parliament at one given point in time, increased their salaries illegally. That created a legal battle between the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the SRC, and the Bunge. So I don't really think, if it's enacted well, it will give a positive impact on our economy, responding to your question, because at the end of the day, we are going to cut down on expenses.
That's right.
On that cost of living, again, the azimio recommended, not the azimio, sorry, but the committee recommended that the fuel levy, and there is also, we have some anti-something taxation here, besides the fuel levy. The fuel levy was to be reduced with 5%, the other one was to be reduced with 3%. All this culminates into addressing the cost of living. The genesis of the cost of living is the taxation. But again, you're asking me whether this may see the light of the day. I would say no, because we know the president is currently talking on behalf of IMF. IMF is running our economy, and the voice that is speaking is of William Ruto. But the mindset that informs his speech is written and remote controlled by the IMF and the World Bank.
You just mentioned something to do with the High-and Bank and the loans Kenya that is owing. We saw the other day President William Ruto really having to partially pay some of the loan. So as per now, where do we stand?
You know, since William Ruto took over power, in 18 months, he had borrowed almost 10% of what Uhuru Kenyatta had borrowed in two terms. He had borrowed close to 2.6 trillion in less than 14 months. That was too much. He said, na mambo ya kukopa madeni tutakuwa tumewacha. He got into the office and realized that political pronouncements and running a government are two different things. I have to borrow, because if I don't borrow, then the government is going to collapse. So Ruto is battling between implementing his manifesto and justifying some of the lies that he sold to the people of Kenya. Great. It may take him time to implement, but I know with the time he may implement them. So that was according to the cost of living. And we also had other recommendations. The enactment of the CDF and the GAF into the constitution, creation of the ward development funds, and to the MCS, and also we had something to do with how do we call it? Besides the GAF, we had the creation of official offices. The official offices or public offices was one, the office of the official opposition leader. We in Kenya, we don't have official opposition leader because these people are shouting from outside. An official opposition leader we have is office or office in parliament. This is the person or the leader of the party or coalition party with which garners the second largest number of votes in parliament.
Now so that's after the Nadco report.
Yes, that's now after the elections. Now we address the winner takes it all situation. And this is something that has motivated and fueled political turmoils in Kenya. Immediately presidential electoral results are delivered because you realize William Ruto defeated Raila Amolo Odinga with only 200,000 votes. Where do you want to take the Raila supporters? Supposedly we are addressing this issue in comparison to Raila, by comparing Raila and William Ruto. So we must address the winner takes it all, so that we have a win-win situation where we, the electorate from the opposition, and we, the electorate from the government, we feel like we are all represented. But to water down what I've just said, there is no single day a Kenyan has ever been in opposition or in government. It is their choice.
Another day.
Leaders who choose to play
let us switch to
varying roles in different camps.
The two-third gender role. We've seen President William Ruto rallying behind the two-third gender role, saying even for the elected position, that is for the presidency seat, they're supposed to be a man and a woman. And then we had Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua reacting on the same. What are your parting short points on that?
Well, the two-third gender rule is a constitutional provision. If you refer to Article 27, clause B, article read with Article 100, and also Article 81B, all this speaks of the role of state in ensuring that the two-third gender rule is met, the role of parliament in ensuring that the two-third gender rule is met, and the role of electoral agency in ensuring that the two-third gender role is met. Do
you think we will have achieved that?
We will achieve if we run. You have had something that the MPs or the IBC is to ensure that political parties meet the two-thirds gender threshold without going first to parliament. We will achieve it if it is made into law. Because the constitution is not a creative convenience. In 2017, upon the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, Schedule 5 provided a 5-year time limit for enactment of the two-third gender rule. And before I even delve into that, the two-third gender rule, when you say it in Kenya, some people think you're talking about women. No, two-third gender rule is not about women. Article 27B says that not all, if you read both Article 27, Article 100 and Article 81, they seek to emphasize that appointive or elective positions or offices shall not have two-thirds, more than two-thirds of the same gender. Yes, not that, we can wake up and find the president is a woman, the deputy president is a woman, the speaker is a woman, everything is a woman. As we move forward, you can see men are beginning to lose that seat, and women are taking over.
Thank you so much, Kara.
We really, we really wish. I didn't want to delve into the article with this provision, but just in the highlights, those articles clearly stipulate what is ought to have been done. So I'm positive enough to anticipate a scenario whereby these rules are going to be enacted as an act of parliament assented by the president, so that we have women also feel entitled. These are the mothers of the society. And
that is it, right in the Week in Focus. That is Kennedy Sankara, the National Youth Policy Analyst Advocate. And of course, we were looking on matters of the National Dialogue Committee that was a product of the protest that led to the 2022 general elections. And thank you so much for making time to really have a discussion. That's an amazing topic. Thank you for your time as well. And that is it right here from Look Up Weekend. My name is John Matava. Thank you so much for watching. See you again, same time, same place.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us